All right, we're in the thick of the presidential election primary season, and no matter which side of the aisle they are on, the candidates have been talking taxes, most often about taxes on the middle class. Some say middle-class Americans simply carry too much of the financial load, but how you define the middle class is an important piece of the discussion today in our Money Monday segment. We're joined by Richard Del Monte, president and founder of the Del Monte Group in Alamo. Richard, thanks for taking the time. So Hillary Clinton has been out there on the campaign trail vowing not to raise taxes on the middle class, kind of drawing that red line at $250,000. Seems simple, right? It's a simple statement. She's used it a lot, but it's not simple if you can't define middle class.
That's the challenge. I mean,
right?
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. What is middle class? So there are there's all kinds of different ways to look at it, but there are three basic ways that most people will look at it.
All right, what's the first one?
First one is income. So the Pew Research Group says any income, what they'll do is they'll exclude the bottom 20% and they'll exclude the top 20%.
Got it.
So the middle 60% is what they'll call middle class, and that ranges in a national average is between $47,000 and $141,000.
Okay, and a lot of times, two people working in one family, right?
Oh,
right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the Bay Area, it's a whole different story.
Okay, what about wealth?
Wealth. So this is proposed by NYU, and they're basically saying anybody that has $400,000 or less of total wealth in the family would be considered middle class. And if you think about,
seems like a stretch. 400,000? I mean,
think about if you're in the Bay Area. There's lots of people that are living barely, paycheck to paycheck, barely getting by, but they happen to have a house with equity.
Well, hold on to that thought. I'll talk about that in just a bit in regards to demographics, but I want to talk about consumption too.
Yeah, so how much people are spending, and so this is proposed by Notre Dame. Anywhere between $38,000 and $50,000 a year of spending would be someone that would be middle class according to that model.
Okay, got it. So let's talk about demographics, because especially for us here in the Bay Area, there are a lot of homes, friends of mine, the wife's working, the husband's working. Some people are living by themselves, doing what they can, making, 150, 200, and you think, I worked in Topeka, Kansas, that would, you'd be a millionaire considered, but it's not here.
You would.
Would that ever demographics ever come into play when there are presidential candidates making these proposals about middle class? Or is that just too hard to do?
That's the challenge, Mike, because if you look at it, even though the country is so uneven, what applies in Topeka, like you said, you could be living like a king for $250, but here in the Bay Area, you've got, it takes two incomes just to own a basic house. And then, like my assistant, she's paying, because they have two people working in their family, they're spending $30,000 a year for daycare, which if you were back in Topeka, you wouldn't have to pay that.
So drawing this kind of red line, though, I mean, especially the $250,000, doesn't it constrain candidates, especially, I mean, I don't want to keep talking specific candidates, from proposing more progressive items that might require broad tax increases?
It does.
Right?
It's a real challenge because
because you're narrowing yourself.
Yes, right. And it creates an unequal situation for different areas of the country. Some people could afford to pay the money if they're making $250. Other ones in the Bay Area, it's a lot more tough.
So what would you tell someone sitting at home who has a combined income $245,000, and maybe they want to get a raise, but it's $5,000. Is it not even worth getting that raise? Because what's the difference in the tax?
That's a great question. Right now, the tax rate from going from $245 to $250 would be about 46% when you add in federal income tax, state income tax, and Medicare tax. 46%. So how much is enough? And that doesn't even include sales tax, property tax. I mean, it just goes on and on. A gasoline tax. So how much is enough?
The definition of middle class will be debated. All right, Richard Del Monte, president of the Del Monte Group. Thanks, Richard, for coming in.
Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate it. All right.